Hey everyone, and welcome back to our German for Beginners series. Today, we're going to tackle what is honestly one of the trickiest parts of the language for new learners: noun genders and plurals. We're going to break it all down so you understand exactly what's going on. Let's dive right in. So, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the three genders: der, die, and das. Then, I'm going to share the first golden rule that you absolutely have to know. After that, we'll look at some patterns, and then we'll tackle plurals. First the easy part, then the hard part. And we'll finish up with what I call the real golden rule, the one that's going to save you so much time later on. All right, let's get into part one, grammatical gender. What in the world is it, and why is it so fundamental to speaking German? Well, this slide pretty much says it all. In English, things are so simple, right? We just have one word, the table, the woman, the car. Easy. But in German, you've got three different words for the, and which one you use all depends on the noun's gender. And here they are. You've got masculine, which uses der, feminine, which uses die, and neuter, which takes das. Now, the key thing to get your head around is that every single noun in German, I'm talking people, places, objects, even ideas, every single one is assigned one of these three genders. Okay, so that brings us to the single most important rule for learning German vocabulary. I am not kidding. If you only remember one thing from our chat today, please make it this next point. It is going to save you a world of pain later on. This is it, the article, that der, die, or das. It's not some separate little word. You have to think of it as part of the noun's identity. They are a package deal. You have to learn them together as one complete unit. And here's exactly what I mean by that. It is not enough to just learn that Tisch means table. That's only half the information you need. You absolutely must learn der Tisch. Why? Because that little word der tells you the gender, and the gender is going to affect almost everything else in the sentence. Just trust me on this. So the big question you're probably asking yourself right now is, are there any cheats, any shortcuts or patterns that can help me guess the gender? Let's take a look. This is the one. The question every single learner of German asks. Is there some kind of logic to it? Can I just look at a chair and, just feel that it's masculine? And the short, honest answer is nope, not really. And look, I know that can be a tough pill to swallow, but it's so important to accept this early on. Grammatical gender has almost nothing to do with what the object is actually like. It's just a rule you have to memorize. Just look at these examples. Is there anything particularly manly about a chair that makes it der Stuhl? Or is there something womanly about a fork that makes it die Gabel? Of course not. It's just a category, a purely grammatical thing. And this is the most famous, or maybe infamous, example of all. The German word for the girl is das Mädchen. That's right, it's neuter. Why? Because there's a grammar rule that says any word ending in chen is automatically neuter. So even though the person is obviously female, the grammar rule is stronger. In German, grammar wins. But it's not a total free-for-all. While you do have to memorize most of them, there are some patterns that can give you a hint. For example, der often goes with male people, days of the week, months, and seasons. Die is really common for female people and for words that end in things like e or ung. And das, well, we just saw it's for those chen words, and also for verbs that get turned into nouns, like das Essen, which means the food. Okay, fantastic work. You're doing great. Let's switch gears and move on to part two, plurals. This is how we talk about more than one of something. And don't worry, we're going to start with the easy part. And here is some really good news. This is the simple part of plurals. It doesn't matter one bit if a noun is der, die, or das when it's singular. When it becomes plural, the article for the is always die. How nice is that? And you can see exactly how this works right here. Der Mann becomes die Männer, die Frau becomes die Frauen, and das Kind becomes die Kinder. The article itself is easy. It's always the for plurals. Okay, so you knew it was coming, now for the hard part. In English, we mostly just add an S to make something plural, right? Well, German likes to keep things interesting. It has a whole bunch of different ways to form the plural ending of the noun itself. And this is where that memorization comes right back in. As you can see, there are a lot of ways this can go. Sometimes you add an E, sometimes an N or N. Other times you add an umlaut, those two little dots over a vowel, plus an ending. Sometimes you don't change it at all. And yeah, for a lot of words borrowed from other languages, you just add an S, kind of like in English. So, we've talked about genders, and we've talked about these tricky plurals. And all of that brings us to our big conclusion. This is the most important takeaway from our whole lesson today. If you really want to build a rock-solid foundation in German, one that's going to help you for years to come, you need to follow what I like to call the real golden rule. The magic number I want you to remember is 3. Because you can't really guess the gender, and you definitely can't guess the plural form, you have to learn 3 things together every single time you learn a new noun. And here are those 3 things. Number 1, the gender, that tells you if it's der, die, or das. Number 2, the singular noun itself. And number 3, the plural form. Those 3 bits of information together make up the complete identity of a German noun. So this is what your vocabulary list should look like from now on. You're not just learning book equals book. No, that's not enough. You have to learn das Buch, die Bücher. Not Stuhl equals chair, but der Stuhl, die Stühle. And not Frau equals woman, but die Frau, die Frauen. You learn all 3 parts as one single chunk of information. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Wow, that sounds like a lot more work for every word. And you're right, it is a little more effort up front. But I promise you, committing these 3 parts to memory right from the beginning is the single best habit you can build. It saves you from so much confusion and having to relearn everything later on. It truly makes all the grammar that comes next so much easier. Thanks for sticking with me, and I'll see you in the next lesson.